Let's talk about homesteading. Let's do it. Okay, there are many, many fantastic channels out here of homesteaders that show all the great and awesome things that they do on a daily. Their hard work, the fruits of their labor, from animals to farming to vegetables and fruit that they are able to cultivate, can, and put away, the tending of their land, building of structures to hold their feed, their animals, their equipment, and so much more. Their lives seem almost magical, an escape from the real world, less stress, not having a boss over you, making up your own rules, and doing the things that you know that you would have to do on a daily. I don't want to be a homesteader. I live in the burbs, baby. And we have an HOA. So we can't have animals, we can't have chickens, we can't have cows, we can't have sheep, goats. We can't have none of that. And I'm okay with it. I'm from Puerto Rico, so I'm very familiar with chickens. Everybody and their mother there has chickens. So I'm okay with raising some chickens. I love some fresh eggs. But being a full-time homesteader, building up your land, building your homes, your buildings, digging up wells, clearing land to make, your homes be off grid completely or partially off grid, figuring out your electrical situation. And how are you going to keep all your things refrigerated if you're completely off grid? Um, Different forms of trying to handle that with solar panels and what have you, and the connections and the batteries and everything that you need to learn and install to make your home functional. There are a few homesteaders that do not have electrical. There are. And I give it up to them. I give it up to them because I know that that's not something that I really truly want to do. And although it seems very magical and very breath of fresh air from the daily grind, it's just not my thing. I don't think it'll ever be my thing. But if I was thrust into it, I would have to learn it. I would have to wrap myself around it to try to see if I can make it work. But for all those that are homesteaders, I give it up to you. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of hard work. And my prepping efforts alone are very cumbersome. And learning how to deal with the things that I do on a daily, it's a lot. So when you have to incorporate animals, growing food in larger, acreage and what have you. We have a large family. There's 6 of us. So whatever we did, we would have to do it kind of big. Everything that we do big. It's not just a 4-pack of toilet paper. No, honey. Everything is done big because there's a lot of us here. Now, I'll share a story with you. I lived in Puerto Rico. Of course, I was born there. And there was a cabin in a barranquita in the country that our family would go and visit. And it was on a rutted road, dirt road. Oftentimes, she'd be stuck forever on there trying to pass the cows that didn't want to move out of the way. They did not. And you would have to wait until they decided to move so you can get around. Once she finally got to this little tiny itsy bitsy little room and a half worth of a cabin. It was very rickety, old, faded, Nothing charming, no real appeal, but it was just something that the family had. I don't know if it was on my mother's side or my father's side, and who exactly it belonged to. I just don't know. But I know I was 5 years old, or maybe four. Actually, I think I was 4 years old, and we went there. And there was an outhouse. There was no bathrooms. There was no running water. There was none of that. None of that. You had to bring anything and everything that you needed, but it did have an outhouse, which was quite a ways from that cabin. And I remember having to walk to it at night. And it was the most horrendous thing for a small child to have to walk out there with the grass taller than myself when I was that age. It was taller than me, and all the animals and all the things that were out there. And it was pitch black at night, and you couldn't see a thing, not a thing. And you would go across the path with a small flashlight trying to find your way. I'm not interested in that type of life. I'm not. And I give it up to those who do. I'm not interested in that. Um, it's just not me. It's really and truly not me. And at one point, my husband and I had discussed it. It would be cool homesteading, wouldn't it? I'm like, that's a lot of work, honey. That's no joke. I mean, that's like no joke. At our age, I don't know if we could do it. I don't know if I'm really interested in doing it. I think I've gotten comfortable and cozy with the type of lifestyle that we have, and the availability of electricity and water and what have you. And of course, having backups for all that's very important now, as you all see, the things have been changing. But I don't want to be a homesteader. And that's one of the reasons why. I'll share another story with you. Later on in life, I was visiting my father. He's passed away now a few years. He's no longer with us. He had a little cabin, a little tiny 1 bedroom up in the mountains in Puerto Rico, in the rainforest. A little cabin that was left down from his side of the family. Very interesting story behind that one. And I'll share it with you one day, but not right now. Because there were little things about it and the people that lived there before, and then something really bad that happened. And I didn't want to go there because of it, because of what had happened. So I had this really big fear of going there because I was afraid because of what had happened. But we went up there, and very windy, tiny road going up the mountain that would crumble, and you would fear having a car come down at the same time, and you would be the car on the outside where there is no side road. It's just down the mountain. So it was kind of like a scary trip coming up and down. It was, and you would never want to travel while it was raining. You never want to travel in inclement weather. And it was a rainforest, so, it would rain. But we got up there. Then I remember walking up on the rock in this little tiny cabin. This little tiny, almost like a shackish look, was perched up on stilts on the side of this mountain. Stilts. It did not feel very safe, not by any means. And I was scared to walk in because I knew what had happened in there. So not only was the structure scaring the bejesus out of me, the events that took place. Well, on this property, which is very interesting, the way it was, kind of set up, it had a waterfall. And, so you'd walk up towards the side that wasn't steep and slanted into the mountain, that you'd walk up a little ways, and then there was the waterfall. And then there were some fresh fruit trees that had been there, forever, that you could try to pick food from. including canepas, think mangoes, star fruit, stuff like that. Oh, and the little tiny bananas. So that was a nice thing to do. But again, this house was not equipped with a lot of new stuff. No, it wasn't. So, I believe it was an outhouse situation again. I don't want to live that way. I don't. And I know this, and I can embrace it. So I will prep in other ways, and I will do things in my life and for my family that make more sense than having this fantasy of getting away from the real world and creating this, this relaxing, amazing life, homesteading. No, I think I'll deal with what I have and make the best of it as I can. So, what's your take on homesteading? You might be a homesteader. You might be shaking your head saying, "Girl, if I had a choice of not homesteading, I'd go right back to regular life." Or some of you would be like, "Homesteading was the best thing I've ever done in my life." I've had a little taste of it in Puerto Rico, a little bit, and little things that happen in life when I was a single parent, struggles, the things we had to do, and the things I had to manage, things we did without. And it's hard. It's really hard. So I couldn't even imagine becoming a homesteader. So I'm okay, but I'm still going to enjoy those shows. Love to hear what you think about homesteading. I know it's awesome looking at those shows, right? And looking at the YouTubers. They're amazing. But you can get a lot of information from them that you can apply to your daily, regular lives without going all the way out there in the country. Think about it. Bye.